first ever meeting between the Rice Owls and the Florida State Seminoles at Bobby Bowden Field here in Doak Campbell Stadium. We're in the capital city of Tallahassee, and a look at the first half numbers. Florida State's vaunted defense up front, especially against the rush. It should improve its lot in line, Keith. The Noles have allowed only 7 rushing yards by the Rice Owls.
And on the other side, 150 yards offensively. 23 rushes, 15 passes. I like the balance and the 38 calls. Florida State with nearly 300 yards total offense, controlling the clock as well as total yards.
148 rushing yards, the most since the Florida State Seminoles faced Duke. That was 9 games ago. Across the field for Todd Graham, who has to remain positive, enthusiastic. This is a team last year that won only 1 game in Ken Hatfield's 14th and final year. He knows what he's up against. UCLA, Texas last week. He has to travel to West Point next Saturday. How does he remain positive? How does he build on what he has been able to accomplish in the first 2 quarters against Bobby Steele?
Well, you take the scoreboard out of the equation. You coach your kids to what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do. You ignore the scoreboard. In like fashion, Coach Bowden has got to protect with his kids against, just throwing it on the field, so to speak, for the last 30 minutes. Things continue to need to be worked on for Florida State if they want to advance in the ACC for the 06 season.
If you're sitting on the west side, our side of the field, you have benefit of the shade. Our good friends on the far side, as they return, getting cooked today. There's the triple receiving trio back there. Here comes Marcus Knox. Well, he had a notion, doesn't come out of the end zone. They'll begin at the 20-yard line. Rice offensively in the first 2 quarters, Tom Block, has enjoyed its moments under the direction of quarterback Joel Armstrong.
Well, and one of the intriguing things they've tried today, Paul, they have an offensive signal that sounds like hike. They yell Heidi, 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 and that's why FSU's defensive front has jumped a couple times. FSU's complained to the officials to no avail, but I guess when you're outmanned, you try whatever you can, Paul, to get an advantage.
That Rice intellectual ingenuity. That would be Cab Calloway with the Heidi, Heidi, ho. Cool. First down, nothing doing on the left side for Quentin Smith. One of the more accomplished running backs in Rice history, and Rice quarterback today by Joel Armstrong. Will remind you, recruited as an option quarterback, played his first 2 years there, became a wide receiver, played the first 2 weeks there, moved to quarterback against the none other than the defending national champion Texas Longhorns. He's back here today. However, he has completed only 1 of his last 6 passing attempts. Just 1 of his last 6 with a pick, with an interception by Ball in the second quarter. They got away from this man, Quentin Smith, early in this football game and really never went back to him. That's only his 4th carry of the afternoon. It matches his first half total when he had 2 for -4 yards.
Well, Smith with nearly 200 yards on the ground coming into the ball game, averaging 4.3 per carry. Had already had 3 plays of 48 yards or more.
Right.
Very explosive, but you're right. They've gotten away from him, have not utilized him. 5 wide now, no back.
And Rice has yet to convert on 3rd down today. 0 for 5 and another sack. This is the 4th of the afternoon. The 2nd by Geno Hayes. Been a dearth of sacks this year. Coming into this afternoon, Florida State had all of 3 in 3 games. Today, all over Armstrong. Now 7th on the season. Keith, they're chasing to a pretty tall order in matching last year's number of 44 sacks.
Certainly, if you look at that last year's number, you want to get closer to that, and they're working on it.
This is Preston Parker. Although the kick bounds closer to Marcus Ball than to him, he would be the 3rd punt returner with Parker today. And a rather poor effort out of Jared Scruggs. Just a 22-yard kick. We're going to take a timeout. Early in the 3rd quarter, when we return, the athletic director, Dave Hart, joins us.
Score a complete game room for less at Rec Warehouse. Save thousands on complete game room packages. Plus, save big on billiard tables, poker tables, and accessories. You'll find everything you need. Don't just stand on the sidelines. For the largest selection at the guaranteed lowest prices, get into the game room headquarters at Rec Warehouse.
At SunTrust, we see beyond deposits to why you make them. See beyond financial plans to who you're planning for. See beyond a mortgage to where you want to call home. And see beyond a balance sheet to what a growing business needs. It's only by looking beyond the obvious that we get to the better answers people deserve. SunTrust, seeing beyond money.
Score a complete game room for less at Rec Warehouse. Save thousands on complete game room packages. Plus, save big on billiard tables, poker tables, and accessories. You'll find everything you need. Don't just stand on the sidelines. For the largest selection at the guaranteed lowest prices, get into the game room headquarters at Rec Warehouse.
You don't have to throw every big catch back into the water. Just into the washing machine every now and then. Right now, get the classic look of Guy Harvey tees at Bell's. Don't let this one get away. Live the Florida lifestyle. Bell's.
Dad, isn't it time you got your own boat?
Finding your next boat is easy with the Boat Shopper. Pick up your free copy and browse through hundreds of photos of boats for sale from dealers and individual owners. With regional editions, buying or selling your boat is easy and convenient. And with a new edition every 2 weeks, the boat selection is always fresh. Look for one of our bright blue outside boxes throughout Florida or find us on the web at boatshopper.com.
Way to go, Dad.
Third quarter at Bobby Bowden Field, Doak Campbell Stadium. Well, it's been a gorgeous afternoon, 26-7, both on the field and the sunshine radiating from above. And the Director of Athletics, Dave Hart, joining us here in our Sun Sports broadcast booth. Dave, welcome aboard. You're the only athletic director in FSU history with the benefit of 8 games being played in one season. Another nice crowd and a gorgeous day for it.
Oh, it's a perfect day for football, and it's always good to be with you and Keith, Paul.
Been a lot of political turmoil this week involving officiating. We have the first ever meeting here between Conference USA Rice and Florida State, and there goes Lorenzo Booker enjoying a great day. But the talk this week has been either when you have two conferences meeting to either neutralize the officials, bring them from a third conference, a neutral conference, or nationalize the officiating process, run it through the NCAA. What's your take on that?
Well, we went through this in basketball about 5 years ago, and at that time, Paul, I was very much a proponent of going to a regional/national officiating model rather than, well, they're your officials and these are our officials, and that conversation is being held in the same vein now about college football.
Drew Weatherford looking for Booker, and it's incomplete, and a flag in. We'll have pass interference. Booker, by the way, Coach, had a terrific day. It's good to see.
It's good to see Lorenzo have this kind of a day.
Coach, also in that vein, there's some talk about the replay official who is up kind of isolated in his own box. Only one person that makes a call on a reversal. And I know publicly you said you might want to see that changed as well.
I was not a big fan of that, Keith, from the outset. I just think you're putting a lot of pressure and a lot of accountability
on the defense
on one person.
15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
This is, by the way, an Atlanticos conference crew, and the referee is Brad Allen. But to your point.
Well, I just think, again, what has happened, the transition has been very quick. And now you know who the officials are on the field. In our case, our crowd sees the officials. Every crowd sees them. But all of a sudden, people want to know who's that guy up in the box, because he can overrule and make the most critical call in the game that could potentially be the difference in a victory or a defeat. That is a lot of pressure and accountability on one individual.
Now the Noles will stack it up here in the eye, in motion, that dazzling freshman Brandon Warren, and touchdown Joe Surratt. It's become commonplace now, this freshman, his 5th touchdown in 4 weeks, his 2nd today. What a future that those two young men have. You have a BCS bowl on the line so often with an official's call. In fact, Florida State has appeared in a BCS bowl something like 12, 15 of the last 19 seasons. Is it fair to put that responsibility on one individual? Should there be two, or do you do away with it entirely?
Well, back to Keith's point, when we had the inaugural discussions about instant replay, I was a proponent of going on the field. Let the officials who are handling the game on the field participate in that, not somebody up in the booth. I just think that would be the prudent way to do it. I understand there's some potential financial ramifications that you would have to realize and talk through, but I'd like to see the officials on the field involved in the study of the instant replay, and if they want to overturn it, so be it. But I just think, again, it's pretty difficult for one individual who's not involved in the game to have that much responsibility.
So maybe something a little more akin to the NFL.
I think so, Keith.
Where the referee has the opportunity to view.
Not to the extent that the NFL does it, but certainly we've had one league in college football experiment with that officials on the field, and I just think that would.
Which league is that, Coach?
I believe it was the Mountain West.
All right.
And they were the first league to have the challenge, which now, of course, we all have the challenge, and I just think that is an evolution and a work in progress, and probably will warrant additional conversation between this season and next.
And Dave, as we close, Bobby came out. Apparently, it appeared in the way that his statement was made that he would like to do away with instant replay completely. Now, that's different than what I've known him to say. Is it your take that maybe that was just some frustration as a result of the Clemson
probably
reversal?
Was, and I certainly don't see us doing away with it. I think the intent was very basic, very fundamental. Let's get the call right. What is frustrating is, and we've seen instances of that as recently as last week, we're not getting all of those calls right, and when that happens, there's even more focus on that than what we used to say, well, gee, Joe Doe missed the call on the field is one thing, but people wanting to know, who is that guy, and is he a retired official? Where did he come from? Does he know how big of a game this is? You're getting all of those questions about a guy up in a little 10-by-10 box, and I think we just need to continue having conversations about modifying that.
The point is, though, they're trying to get it right. And
they're trying to get it right, and I'm all for that, and that's why I'm a proponent of instant replay. I was a proponent of the challenge. I think it's great because let's not let a game be decided on a missed call, but we're not home yet. We haven't gotten there yet. We're still we still have too many inaccuracies.
Let's shift gears here rather quickly in the time we have allowed. Gene Upshaw, the head of the National Football League Players Association, their union, made this comment earlier this week. He said he would be a proponent of banning agents from contacting players before their NCAA eligibility has expired. Would you agree with that? And is that possible in the society?
I think anyone in my chair would agree with that. That would be a wonderful step forward. I don't know how realistic it is, Paul, but I admire Gene coming out and taking that stance. Agents continue to be a huge issue in intercollegiate athletics. Agents, runners, they're everywhere. It's real. The elephant is in the room, and I think the more we can do to alleviate that contact with these young men while they're still playing college football, the better off the game will be.
I know Florida State once a year has a huge meeting to address just that issue with its kids.
We do, Keith, and Bob Minix instituted, which is now becoming commonplace, but Bob brought it to Florida State 11 years ago, Agent Day, where we do invite the agents in. They register. We know who they are. We allow them to meet with our players, those rising seniors who have NFL potential. Their parents come with them. That's the way we should be approaching this, not behind street corners and behind parked cars, and that's what has us all concerned.
Hey, your next home game, of course, you're traveling next week to Raleigh, North Carolina to take on NC State. Your next home game here going to be a huge night. Boston College comes for the first time in a long time. Bobby Bowden, Charlie Ward will both be honored by the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame, and a new look for the Seminole football team in honoring the Seminole Nation. Clue us in on this.
That entire weekend, Paul and Keith, will be about our opportunity to honor and recognize and express our continued appreciation to the Seminole tribe for the privilege that they've extended us to call ourselves Seminoles. We will unveil statues of a Seminole family. That will be the highlight of the weekend, but we will also, through an effort of Nike, our partner, unveil a special uniform that our players will wear for the Boston College game, also to honor the Seminole tribe.
It's the word is, Coach, I guess it's a poorly kept secret, or the word is out that the predominant color will not be garnet or gold, but rather black.
That's correct. It will be predominantly a black uniform, but it'll be very obvious when and we will show the uniform before the game.
With a Seminole
have
motif,
a press
a Native
conference.
American motif?
Without question, it'll be easy to see that it is in tribute to the Seminole
You
tribe.
don't have a picture we can take a look at here?
Don't have a photo.
You don't have an
I
extra
know you're
jersey?
trying to get that scoop look, but
And
I
some
don't have
of
a
us
photo.
that are a little older need to understand that the kids enjoy wearing the black, even though we would say, wow, that's not garnet and gold.
Keith, that's an excellent point. And quite honestly, when Nike contacted me back in May, I had reservations for that very reason. But I did sit down, meet with them, meet with their designers, and I knew how much the players would enjoy
like
it, as you well know as a former player. And they're going to love it, and they're excited about it. They've not seen it either yet, but
haven't
the
let the
word is
players
out.
see it
No,
yet,
the
huh?
players haven't seen it. No one has seen it to this point in time, but they are very excited about that night, and I'm looking forward to that weekend.
We
getting
are
it.
too, Coach. Here, our 19th year of primetime Knowles. We look forward to that night, Coach. Thanks so much, Dave Hart, for being with us.
Always good to be with you all, and thank you again to Sun Sports. You've been just terrific over the years, and you two do a wonderful job on our behalf.
Well,
and we
you make it
appreciate that.
easy. You make it
We've
easy
got
for
to
us.
get KJ a number 28 in that black motif that says Jones
Well,
across the back. His old.
Don't go there.
Well, I wanted so bad to go there. Okay, I won't. He knew it. He knew where I was going.
Might have to be a little wider than Booker's. Coach, thanks so
guys.
much. Dave Hart, the Director of Athletics here at Florida State, hosting the Rice Owls for the first time ever. One of 8 home games. So much to discuss. Player issues with agents, instant replay, video replay systems, and now the new look.
And it really is something that if you're older, you'd say black. What's that got to do with garnet and gold? But the kids today really like to do that. And ball tipped around a couple of different ways there. So it's going to be an exciting day.
Yeah, it sure is. Again, that's in 2 weeks. Only one game in 19 days now, KJ. Good, bad, the impact that's going to have, just that one Thursday night game between the end of this, the final gun, and the kickoff with Boston College.
Good to get nicks and injuries healed. Bad, particularly for Florida State offensively, because they're just now getting into sync.
Preston Parker will be back to field this punt here by Jared Scruggs. One bit of bookkeeping, it was Luke Juiced who squibbed that last punt, and here comes Parker. Parker with a little bit of heart to him, out across the 30, the 31. Mickey Andrews with those open auditions, and Parker becomes the 4th return man today. We've seen Davis, we've seen Carter, we have seen Parker, maybe the 3rd. Am I shortchanging this one? He has run a number of players in there trying to find the right one.
I believe it is 3.
3-yard return after a 39-yard kick. Weatherford and the Knowles came blowing down the field during our interview with Dave, and he's back out there. And in the backfield, in the eye, Cedric Holloway in front of Antone Smith. Our first look at Cedric today, leading the way, and Antone turning the corner and up to the 32-yard line. Of course, on a relief now is Antone Smith of Lorenzo Booker, who has had his best game this year.
Well, certainly this is the type of game and the type of productivity that Lorenzo was looking for as he came back for his senior season. Has not been the case the first 3 ball games of the year, but certainly he has rectified, corrected, and gotten back on track here tonight, this afternoon rather.
Great day for Book. Running room as well. Here goes Antone. Antone around the corner, and Antone. One man to beat at the 20-yard line. Antone drugged down from behind by Raines at the 8-yard line. 1st and goal. Chad Price, rather than Raines, got him around the collar. That is a jaunt of 60 yards by Antone Smith, his biggest run as an Old.
And keep your eye on the right-hand side of your screen. Right there to Cody Fagg as he comes in. There's a downfield block. Doesn't look like much, but that's what Jeff Dowden was talking about with Smith and Booker. If you can just shield somebody, get somebody out of the way, make them misdirect, once these tailbacks get to the 2nd level, get 10, 12 yards past the line of scrimmage, they have the breakaway speed as Smith showed there. Doesn't look like much, but Cody Fagg did an outstanding job on that.
And the pitch to Booker, trying to get him into the end zone, and there he goes! Touchdown, Lorenzo Booker. The score swells. Booker into the paint of the end zone. And his huge afternoon continues. His first TD of the day. You could not have scripted this any better for him. 117 yards and the score as you set the stage for back-to-back Atlantic Coast Conference outings against NC State and Raleigh and the Eagles of Boston College here. Macy nails this one. All according to plan. A salute to Booker. He finds the end zone for the first time this season, closing in on 2,000 career rushing yards for the senior from Oxnard, California.
It's your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, yours is on me.
Oh, thanks.
Actually, it's all our birthdays. That's how we all met. Kind of like a birthday club.
Really? Brooke, come on. What are the chances that all of their birthdays are on the same day as mine? Okay.
Grab a friend and a $1 sausage biscuit or sausage McMuffin with egg sandwich, or maybe a juicy double cheeseburger or tasty McChicken sandwich. Open late, many 24 hours.
Heat fans, get ready to relive the first NBA championship in team history. From overtime heroics to late game surges, we replay every minute of every game. Watch White Hot Heat Week on Sun Sports. Coverage begins October 1st.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The toughest trucks. You won't believe it. And the toughest drivers. Here we go. Bumping, beating, and banging. Unbelievable ride. Hard and fast across the USA. Look at this action up front. It's a heart-pounding, paint-trading, edge-of-your-seat thrill ride. All season long. Only on Speed. Go. From start to finish, it's unexplainable what it can do to you. Wait, bam. It doesn't get much better than that. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The bumping and banging continues on Speed.
It's game day. Gear up with the best college football preview show in the state. Sun Sports and Rec Warehouse look inside the matchups, inside the numbers, and get you ready for all the action. Watch Rec Warehouse College Kickoff only on Sun Sports.
Hey Seminole fans, it's that time of year again, but Bill's Bookstore isn't just for game day. Bill's has great Seminole fashions and gifts for every day.
Bill's Bookstore, not just any old bookstore. What a Seminole looks for.
Bill's Bookstore, for game day, for every day. Order online anytime at billsbookstore.com. Or for a free catalog, call 800-476-1FSU.
College football on Sun Sports is brought to you in part by Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. And by K&G Superstores, for men, for less. Booker and Weatherford. What a duo this afternoon. Booker's running, Weatherford's passing, and here Booker caps that last possession, his first TD of the day.
And again, we've said this several times, but one of the things Billy Sexton wants his tailbacks to do is make the first guy miss. Well, there he does, and that's what allows Lorenzo to get into the end zone. His updated career yardage as he closes in, just 50 yards away from that coveted 2,000, and then closing in on Leon and amply ahead.
And so Booker with 117 yards rushing and a pleasant moment with Drew. By the way, Antone Smith, Drew's classmate, has also cracked triple digits. He's rushed for 107 yards today, KJ. So not only is the ground game exploded, it's come out in pairs.
Well, coming into the ball game, Rice giving up 234 yards on the ground per contest. Florida State unofficially 242. So at least those two statistics are matching up.
You have to go back to the bowl game that was played the first day of 2005 against West Virginia to find the last time that two Seminoles rushed for more than 100 yards. Coming out of his own end zone, Chris Douglas. And flags come from all directions. The Seminoles shaken up at the 12-yard line, and that's Marcus Bull.
That was a flagrant illegal block on ball.
Randy Orovitz, Florida State's trainer, the first man to arrive. And when he went down, the flags came out. And concern now for the young freshman linebacker.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 34, the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. It will be 1st and 10. The game clock will start on the ready for play. Timeout for an injured player.
That would be Terrence Garman, who is singled out, number 34.
Keep your eye right there. Watch him come in from behind. There's no question about the illegalness of this block. He did pull off of it, not as flagrant as it first appeared in real time.
And he may have injured his knee with that plant prior to the contact.
I thought it was as a result of the hit. It appeared to be because of the plant. I was fixing to jump all over Terrence Garman, but it appeared that he pulled off enough, but it looked like that plant leg gave out underneath ball.
My reaction to that expression by Terrence is no one feels worse from his sideline than he does, believing he may have contributed to this. But on second review from our cameras here today, it appeared that Marcus, in changing direction, Keith, and putting so much torque on that leg, may have been injured when he cut.
We saw the same thing happen to Paul Griffin a couple of ball games a while back. And again, as you watch, it looks like Gammon pulls off of him. Right there, the knee buckles. It is an illegal block in the back because he gave him just a little bit of a shove with that right arm, but I don't think that contributed to the injury as we first thought when we looked at it in real time as the play was going on.
And so what has been, for the most part, a very festive afternoon here in Tallahassee, suddenly very quiet in Doak Campbell Stadium. 8:30 to go in the third. Concern for Marcus Ball.
It's back. The Chevy Model Year-End Event. We're moving out the last of the 06 Chevy models. So make your move. They're going fast. More Americans choose Chevy. Claim yours before they're gone. See your Southern Chevy dealers.
Take your taste to a different place. Take your taste to Dixie Crossroads.
Take your taste to Dixie Crossroads for the September Lobster Dinner Special. Get a whole lobster dinner for just $12.99. But hurry, because this offer is only good on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays through the month of September. So bring the whole family and enjoy. Dixie Crossroads in Titusville or in Festival Bay in Orlando.
Take your taste to a different place. Take your taste to Dixie Crossroads. I am so into you. I can't think of nothing else. I am so into you.
Roger, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
I am so into you.
Texas Pete hot sauce. It's the bottle with the cowboy.
Also try Texas Pete Buffalo Wing Sauce.
Bill Curry Ford is helping keep America strong by leading the way with the highest quality Ford cars and trucks on the road today. For 45 years and counting, Bill Curry Ford has led the way in Tampa Bay with a huge inventory, including the exact model you're looking for. If you don't find it here, it doesn't exist. Large on-the-windshield pricing streamlines your buying experience and puts you in the car or truck you want in 1 hour or less. So buy American and keep America strong at Bill Curry Ford. Bill Curry Ford, just 1 mile north of Raymond James Stadium, Tampa.
Marcus Ball off on the cart. Al Suma, the trainer, with him. Concern for his left knee. That's the apparent injury. 40-7 here. We're back to live action following the illegal contact from behind on Terrence Garman. The ball is spotted at the 7-yard line. Armstrong on the option, pitches to Quentin Smith, and Smith is able to gain 8 yards out across the 15 to the 17.
Again, going back to the ball injury in real time as we got another flag down. This will be holding against the Owls. It looked like the illegal contact had contributed to the injury or caused the injury. Such is not the case. And if there's any good news, it's the fact that they didn't take Marcus into the locker room.
Offense number 73. half the distance to the goal from the previous spot. It remains first down.
Though they brought out the cart, they actually took him back to behind the bench, which that little indication, hopefully, is indicative of the fact maybe it's not as serious as one would fear.
Austin Wilkinson, the sophomore center for Rice, their 5th penalty, but it is here the 4th of the second half. Bud Thacker has checked in for Florida State. Number 72, our first look at Big Bud, a freshman from Sanford, Florida. We're going to see young new faces, I would believe, the rest of the way, Keith, coming in for the first time. And did he get out of his own end zone? How close was that? Nefi Moffitt started his motor. And the contact was made right inside the 1-yard line. There is Nefi Moffitt.
Second tackle for a loss for Nefi. 6'1", 240 pounds, maybe a little more than that. He's going to come from right there. Sheds his block, gets right into the backfield, very nearly records a safety.
Timeout. Right. That's their first charge timeout of the second half.
In this situation for Rice, undermanned, young, Todd Graham building, it's clear that Rice is wilting right now. They've committed penalty mistakes, going in reverse. Coach Graham has elected to call timeout, gather his team around them. They're on the doorstep of surrendering a touchdown, or a safety rather, or worse, in their own end zone.
And one of the things you have to protect against in a situation like this is not losing your team. I mean, Rice, heavy underdogs coming in. Certainly this is a game that's being played by the Rice athletic folk for the guarantee that Florida State can pay them to help rebuild and get started on retracking their program. But you don't want to lose your kids in the middle of the ball game.
Just be positive. Speaking of getting paid, Tom Block is with the man whose pay stub, well, I'd envy that. It's Antonio Cromartie, Tommy.
He did all right with his one career start and then cashed it in as a first-round draft pick. Crow, welcome back to Florida State, first of all, and your rookie season with the Chargers. What do you find is the biggest difference right now between playing pro ball and playing here at FSU?
Man, to tell the truth, that's really no biggest difference. The biggest thing they said that was going to be was the speed, but speed's not a big difference. I would say it was going in and watching the film. That's the biggest thing. I mean, you got to watch the film a whole lot more, and you got a lot of time to yourself, so you got to manage your time of what you want to do during the day, because we're done at 5 o'clock.
All right, we'll watch this play, Crow, and then I'll come back with another question, Paul.
Armstrong backed up. He's standing in his own end zone, Tommy. On second down. Trying to throw in the flat. That's a lateral. And able to get out to the 1-yard line, but the ball comes out. And Florida State trying to pounce on it, just ravaging Jared Dillard.
Crow, excuse me, Paul, I'm sorry. Crow, what do you miss most about Florida State? Is the camaraderie the same at the pro level, or maybe not quite the same?
I say it's the same, but I mean, at the pro level, I mean, everybody has families. Everybody got wife and kids back at home. So, I mean, a lot of guys don't hang out or do anything like that. But, I mean, the biggest thing I miss here is just having fun, you know, just being around the team and being able just to have fun and do the thing that you want to do in college football.
All right, well, it's great to see you back. Best of luck with the Chargers.
Thank you.
All right, Antonio Cromartie, PK.
We're in the lightning bolt of the Chargers. It's third down. Armstrong backpedaling. He's coming, throwing on the run, and he shoots it incomplete.
Now, if that's ruled grounding, that's an automatic safety. But, of course, Armstrong was outside of the tackle box. The ball did go across the line of scrimmage, so no grounding will be called.
To be honest with you, KJ, and you see the third down situation here, Rice appears somewhat spent late in the third quarter. Certainly the way their offensive line, Florida State coming at them in waves, the way their offensive line has been worn down, and perhaps Joel Armstrong too.
Not terribly wild, 90 degrees, 88 to 90 degrees, but the humidity has been up the last couple of days. That might have a factor, no question.
Jared Scruggs, best effort today, 48 yards. Fair catch called for by Patrick Robinson. He allows the ball to bound.
And he does become the number 4.
There, we got
punt returner.
You know, it's fortunate, Keith, 4 years at college, and we can now count to 4. I'm very proud of us there.
Don't put me in that category.
4 separate return men here. Great day offensively for the ground game. And here you go. 117 out of Booker. Antone goes 107.
And of course, the other guy that's over here is Mr. Surratt, because he's got 2 touchdowns.
Joe Surratt has already scored more touchdowns and carried the ball more times by himself. Xavier Lee pitches to Antone Smith, who's met at the line of scrimmage. Back to Surratt for a moment. More touchdowns, KJ, and carried the ball more times in 4 weeks than last year's combo of B.J. Dean and James Coleman totaled together.
And we still haven't seen Dunham and, of course, Cedric Holloway, who back up Joe Surratt. We haven't seen them get into the end zone as well.
Never seen a back at FSU. Recent years go over 2,000 yards rushing. You may see that here today.
Pass.
Not going to throw with those gloves on. He bobbled the ball and now comes back to the line of scrimmage. He was looking to throw to Xavier Lee, who had pitched him the ball.
Well, everybody's been talking about how do we find ways to get X involved in the offense. Well, there's one attempt at it. Pitch to Booker. He's going to set up and whoop.
Are you, in running that play, giving Chuck Amata and NC State another area of concern?
No.
Another thing to work on?
No, you're just working on some things in case you absolutely positively need it on down the road.
Or just having fun?
Well, that too. You're up 40-7. You can afford to do that.
Look at all the time he has to throw, and then fires high incomplete in the direction of Damon McDaniel, the freshman from Virginia Beach. Lansdowne High School, one of those 12 freshmen that have played so far this year. Off he comes. Percy Harvin of Florida has enjoyed a great start in his Gator career. He and McDaniel were high school teammates at Lansdowne in Virginia Beach. Must have been quite a high school offense there. Some beach music out of those two. Harvin, an electrifying player that will be in this stadium at the end of the year. And now for FSU, John McKnight to punt. Not J.R. Bryant, but duplicated uniforms. The first kick here of McKnight's career. Fair catch called for, made at the 11-yard line. He'll belong to Florida State. As Rice's Evan Fentress takes it down. A 37-yard kick by McKnight. Florida State men's basketball season tickets now on sale. The Noles have exciting home games against defending NCAA champions. Speaking of the Gators, Billy Donovan's Florida Ball Club, Georgia Tech, Boston College, so many more. Log on to Seminoles.com to purchase your tickets today. Keith Jones, you broadcast Leonard Hamilton's basketball team.
That I do. October 15th, I believe, the official start of practice. And second week in November, things tip off.
Whistle blows, flag thrown prior to the snap of the ball. The play clock still had ample time showing at 10. It's been a busy day for Brad Allen and this ACC crew.
Prior to the snap, ball start. Offense number 73. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Back to our point about the offensive line wearing down. Austin Wilkinson has seen Alex Boston, Andre Fluellen, Everett Brown, Darrell Burston. Long day in the Florida sunshine today.
And the good thing about a score of this nature is you have the opportunity to play your younger people without the game being in doubt and the pressure that's associated with that.
Well, now he can say hello to Bud Thacker. That's a lateral in the flat to Dillard. Dillard works his way out to the 12-yard line. Buster Davis, his 7th stop. Buster sideline to sideline, and at the end of the third quarter, he may well come out of this game. He's headed now to the sideline with 3.5 to go in quarter number 3. But his presence has been felt throughout the day.
He has lived up to the billing of 2006 and then some, has Buster Davis.
Second down, needing 10. Armstrong, the junior from Longview, Texas, starts down the line. No man to pitch it to. And he's out of bounds at the 11-yard line. At the snap of the ball, linebacker Lawrence Timmons took off for Quentin Smith and totally took out the option for Joel Armstrong.
And there are certain calls when you ask your players to do that. Sometimes you want them to come up to the line of scrimmage and skate, what they call skate outside, and keep leverage. Other times you want them to go ahead and take all the options, or at least one of the option, away. Timmons all over the ball carrier, would-be pitchman, if you will.
Look at the nose tackle for Florida State in Thacker. Look how big he is. The snap of the ball, here he comes. Throwing over the middle, that's incomplete. Through the hands of Andrew Novak, another freshman. Rice has played 11 so far this season, Keith. And Fentrick, or rather Novak here, is one of them in the 4 wide. Off goes Buster. They have done their job. First downs have become nearly an impossibility for the Owls in the second half. To punt again, Jared Scruggs. This will be his 7th punt and the 8th overall for Rice. Toward Patrick Robinson. He calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 48-yard line. May have seen Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator, having a word or two for Robinson. Previous opportunity for him. Catch the ball first, Keith. You return kicks. You know, catch it first is most important.
And don't let it hit the ground. Catch it wherever it is, because that accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it doesn't allow it to gain more yardage, and number 2, it doesn't allow it to hit one of the players who may not be looking for it.
37-yard punt. Well done by Robinson, and now all eyes on Lorenzo Booker. He is the tailback in the eye. Keith, he needs 52 yards. 52 to reach 2,000. Play action, though. Throwing for Chris Davis, and it's off the fingertips of the corner in Brandon King, number 15.
And again, I'd illustrate to you the great talent of Xavier Lee. Strong arm, quick feet, but that was a terribly thrown football. If he'd have thrown that ball to the middle of the field, Davis would have caught it for a touchdown.
He is leading his intended target in Davis. Is Lee. Have we pointed out the fact that he returns from shoulder surgery the offseason that cost him the benefit of spring practice?
And that's what his issue is. He just hasn't had the time, both in elapsed time and number of snaps, to get tuned in.
It will take some time. He's going back upstairs
nice
today.
Throw.
And drop. In and out of the hands of Richard Goodman. Right between the 8 and the 5. The Fort Lauderdale sophomore.
Great throw on a couple of series prior by Lee that was dropped by Davis on a slant. That time Goodman drops the out. This is a nice delivery. Step and throw right where it needs to be. And boop.
And in somewhat of a defense of the offensive staff at the moment, you're saying they're leading as Florida State 40-7 here. The purpose of the passes are to gather experience and timing for Xavier Lee. That's why they're throwing the ball.
It's not Florida State's job to keep from scoring. It's Rice's to keep from Florida State from scoring.
And Lee cannot keep from being taken down. A sack inside by, looks to be Gordon there inside, along with Victor Brooks. Defensive tackle. And off will go Lee. So not a good series offensively late in the 3rd. Not crisp. Lee misfiring once. Goodman dropping another, and then he's sacked on 3rd down. And the kicking unit will come on. McKnight for a 2nd time. How many double numbers do we have on this football team? A few. Gino Hayes and a backup quarterback, Jared Ripke, both wear number 10. And here McKnight wearing 18, along with J.R. Bryant, who is a corner. He drops this, picks it up, kicks it. It's partially blocked.
Catch it and run, or catch it and fall down.
And it is caught by Florida State's Pat Davis, a reserve running back. So a freaky play there for FSU. He dropped it, picked it up. There's Graham Gano. Also a punter, too. Could be using. You don't get in the game, and then this happens. Comes right back at you.
And that's all on McKnight, no question. Does try to get it away. It's tipped right there. Fielded.
You feel for him, playing time so precious when you're behind, say, Graham Gano. By the way, this note in, we showed you earlier today in the first half, Tony Carter, the corner for Florida State, shaken up, hobbling off the field. That's batted away by Nefi Moffitt. Well, Carter's out the rest of the way, KJ, with an injured left knee.
And if that is of any serious nature, that is a huge blow to this Florida State defense, because though You don't see very many tackles, deflections, or interceptions with Tony Carter. It's because teams know how good he is. They've stayed away from him. Moffitt with his second pass deflection here in the second half.
Now, Neefe Moffitt, the coaches have said, if we could just intensify his approach to this game, really get him going 100%. Ball is out. And a fight for it. And after the Clemson game last week, and they point toward Florida State, we'll just wait till the call is official. Florida State appears to have forced Quentin Smith to cough it up, and Rodney Gallen at the bottom of the pile for Mickey Andrews' defense. The sophomore from right here in Tallahassee. Moving up the depth chart. Injuries to the linebacking core. Jay Thaxton unavailable today with a concussion. And the ball at the moment is ruled to be in the possession of Florida State. Second turnover committed by Rice. Xavier Lee back in at quarterback. And Anton Smith behind him. A little swing to Anton, and that's not sharp. Just letting too far. And that's the finesse aspect of this game that only comes through repetition.
And again, those that are screaming and hollering and clamoring for Xavier Lee, this is why you don't play him in tight situations. He has got to get to the point where he can execute those types of throws, the throw long down the field we saw earlier. And he'll work on it. He'll get it straight, but it will take time.
He's failed to connect in his last 6 attempts. Through a 28-yard completion in his first pass play. Whistles here to stop the clock with 35 seconds to go in the third. But 6 in a row incomplete.
Prior to the snap, there was an inadvertent whistle. We will replay the down.
That'll give Florida State an opportunity to change its offensive package. Jocelyn Shaw is on for the tight end Kaz Porowski. So a speedy receiver in the place of the tight end. And there is Jocelyn. Voted the most improved player among the receivers in spring practice. Blitz coming on the backside, so he goes the other way and to midfield. Carr's forward progress is the midfield stripe for Greg Carrs. Had a terrific day, a gain of 6.
Nice throw by Lee on that one.
It's just another thing that Chuck Kamada, our good friend, has to worry about, Keith. 10 days away, 11 days away in Raleigh. How big would a victory over Florida State be for the embattled head coach of the Wolfpack? And it will be for Primetime Knowles, our first telecast from that stadium.
I think Chuck would take any win over anybody.
Beat anybody, as Bobby Bowden said when he first got here. What would the bumper stickers say?
Just win.
Beat anyone.
Beat anyone.
This will be for Bobby his 362nd win. And the score should stand. Greg Carr and company. Cue the band. Head to the fourth quarter. It is 40-7. FSU leading Rice. And now can Lorenzo Booker get his 2,000 career yards into the Knowles? Score again. And what new faces do we enjoy introducing you to when we return on Primetime Knowles? The Bobby Bowden Field and Oak here in Tallahassee.
All these firsts, Lincoln Navigator is an exercise in utility and frugality with $7,500 cash back for a limited time, plus new extended powertrain coverage. Lincoln, reach higher.
New Bits and Pieces milkshakes, where we smash up candy or cookies and mix them into... no.
Hand-dipped milkshakes with bits of candy and cookies. New Bits and Pieces milkshakes.
Steak and Shake.
At SunTrust, we see beyond how you're banking to how you're living. That's why we put 2,700 ATMs where you need them and have 1,700 locations on the way to where you're going. You can always get a live voice on the phone 24/7. And you have the power of the whole bank at your fingertips online. so you can spend more time how you want to instead of how you have to. SunTrust, seeing beyond money.
The new Lincoln Zephyr with its sport-tuned suspension and 6-speed automatic. Curves are officially back in. Get 0% APR plus 1,000 cash back on Zephyr and get new extended powertrain coverage. Lincoln, reach higher.
Don't monkey around when it comes to auto parts. Hi, Harold Bennett for Bennett Auto Supply. If you're looking for quality parts at low prices, remember, Bennett Auto Supply has been serving South Florida for over 50 years. We carry a huge selection of foreign and domestic parts, including AC Delco, Goodyear, and other top brands. It's a jungle out there, so don't let just anyone go ape with your auto parts. Bennett Auto Supply. Our prices bring you in, but our people bring you back.
Welcome back to Doak Campbell Stadium. Florida State in control 40-7 over Rice as we bring you back to Bobby Bowden Field. Paul Kennedy and Keith Jones upstairs. I am Tom Block down on the field with you. Florida State has played 2 quarterbacks and played a lot of players today. We have seen Xavier Lee get his feet wet a little bit more. Drew Weatherford, who's been under the question somewhat for his play this year. Well, the first team offense led by Drew Weatherford has 5 scores out of 6 possessions. Take a look at what Weatherford has done, hooking up with Greg Carr. He's 8 for 12, 102 yards and a touchdown as he goes to Cody Fagg right there. And here is the touchdown up top to Greg Carr. But again, 4 touchdown drives, 1 field goal out of 6 opportunities for Drew Weatherford in the first team offense. You add it all up, Florida State with a 40-7 lead. And he has not been told officially, Paul, that he is finished for today, but I would suspect that his work is probably done. I've seen Tommy Keene limbering up a little bit to get set for fourth quarter action. Paul?
Tommy, as we open the fourth, Xavier Lee, as if on cue, limbers up and throws a strike to Greg Carr for a gain of 14 on the slant.
Nice throw, nice pitch by Carr. Again, known for fade routes and jump balls, but Carr very effective on his slants and his post patterns when Florida State quarterbacks can find him.
That's 4 receptions for Carr today. And the touchdown pass from Drew Weatherford. And the Noles inside the 40-yard line against beleaguered Rice. They pitch it inside. Antone, or check that, not Antone Smith inside.
Brandon Warren
running inside. A little wrinkle to the offense as he comes off the edge. Back inside, and some frustration. He didn't break that for bigger yards.
Looked very comfortable catching that ball behind the line of scrimmage and motoring upfield, did he not?
As athletic a tight end as you have had here in a generation in Brandon Warren?
I think so. And with Porowski's size and Charlie Graham's hands, Florida State with 3 very talented, very young players at that position.
You can move him around. You see him shifting there and then hitting it up inside Antone to the 25-yard line. But Brandon Warren, we've seen him line up wide, line up in the backfield as a lead blocker, carry the ball. A year ago, Matt Hinshaw, as a senior, caught 21 passes. Well, that's a figure Brandon Warren may shatter in the next 2 weeks, the way he's going, and the ability of this trio of freshman tight ends to go vertical down the field.
Another and added dimension. 3 catches, 12.3 yard average. That brings the total to 10 on the year for the true freshman out of Tennessee.
Matt Dunham in motion. And Antone, how quick is he? Look at the quick feet. Dance for us. Dance for us. Touchdown.
And a block downfield by Carr.
Touchdown for a second time, Antone Smith. Wide receiver leading the interference. What feet, Keith?
There's no questioning his quickness. There's no questioning his speed.
25 yards, touchdown.
And as he breaks past the point of attack right here, he'll go outside. Now keep your eye on number 89. Carr with a great block downfield. See, you don't have to knock him down. You just have to shield him. And that, with the talent of Smith and Booker, is enough to get pay dirt.
Gary Sismacia adds the extra point. Had missed one earlier, and the score swells. Florida State's biggest number of the year. 47-7. And again, Antone Smith doing all the dancing in the September sunshine and in the end zone for a second time today.
awesome, man.
It's your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, yours is on me.
Oh, thanks.
Actually, it's all our birthdays. That's how we all met. Kind of like a birthday club.
Really? Brooke, come on. What are the chances that all of their birthdays are on the same day as mine? Okay.
Grab a friend and a $1 sausage biscuit or sausage McMuffin with egg sandwich, or maybe a juicy double cheeseburger or tasty McChicken sandwich. Open late, many 24 hours.
Totally Football on FSN. Your inside source for all pro and college gridiron news. Host Laura Oakman breaks all the stories before anyone else.
It took me a little while to get used to him, and when we did, he made the plays for us.
We'll take you inside the huddle and behind the scenes.
If that's as good as we can play, so be it.
For all the Big Skin action. Totally Football. Tomorrow on FSN.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. That bang was so bootleg, I had it devout. Tell me about it.
Oh, man. Those kicks are the lick. Must have been spinny.
You may not understand your kids.
Dude, that Breezy's blazing. Dude, she's totally jockeying.
But your kids understand you. Talk to them about drugs. Need help? Get help. Visit our website at drugfree.org.
Fun and games this afternoon. 40 unanswered points by Florida State's offense after this game was tied 7-all. And that includes a pair of touchdowns by Antone Smith, the sophomore from Pahokee. First ever meeting between the ACC member Seminoles and from Conference USA, the Rice Owls. And if you look at this league in its two divisions of 6 teams each, you see Rice, a member of the West. Keith, as Coach Graham rebuilds this program, there are very winnable games in the not too distant future for Rice, playing at a level of competition that should afford Rice success.
Well, and certainly the track record for Todd Graham is such that he comes in and he's a defensive guy by nature. His defenses at Tulsa and when he was with Rodriguez at West Virginia just got better and better. He's a hard-nosed kind of coach. He's brought in this spread offense that is a little more adaptable to personnel and bringing in some key people at the wideouts that can help you immediately. And more than anything else, Paul, he's just come in and embraced the Rice program. He raised over $6 million over the summer, instituted and put in some new systems that you would never see about on the field relative to scouting and their ability to prepare game plans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It'll remind you a whole lot of what Bobby Bowden had to do when he came in here in 1976 to build this Florida State program.
Graham Gano ready to kick it away. Next week, they have to go to the banks of the Hudson. And one of those lovely spots in all of college football. Rice remains on the road. They'll take on the Black Knights of the Hudson, the cadets from West Point. And Bobby Ross, at one time, a Rice assistant. Big return here by Marcus Knox out across the 30 to the 37-yard line. And Tom Block, down on the sideline, has a Hall of Fame guest.
A familiar face, Paul, but you might not recognize him because he's out of uniform for what he says is the first game ever. This is Billy Smith, of course, the trooper who has been by Bobby Bowden's side for 31 years now. A member of the class of 2006 Hall of Fame is the Moorstone Award winner. Congratulations, and tell me what kind of an honor that is for you.
Well, to me, it's the highest honor I've ever had paid to me by Florida State University, and quite humbling.
Coach Bowden says that you're one of his closest confidants. 31 years escorting the winningest coach in college football. What can you share about your relationship with Coach Bowden?
He's my buddy. He's my friend. He's my cohort. My buddy.
You have been a part of the Florida State football program even longer than that. It actually dates back 43 years. And we referenced Bill Peterson earlier in this broadcast because he left Florida State to go to Rice. He's actually the head coach that approached you and said, I need you to escort me off the field. And at that time, nobody was doing that. What was your reaction when he asked you that question?
Well, he asked me, what do you do? I told him, I said, he said, well, how about going to work for me and make me look good and turn the red light on so I blow that siren for me and look after security? I said, Coach, we don't do such thing. He said, what do you do? I said, work wrecks, put people in jail. He said, well, who do you work for? I said, I guess the governor when you really get down to it. He said, well, where does he work at? I said, well, he has an office up in the Capitol, and they meet every Tuesday morning to discuss state business. And to make it very brief, I forgot all about the conversation, and my boss called me the next Tuesday afternoon and said, well, you got you a new job. Yeah.
Well, with a pay of 0.
Absolutely, and they just keep increasing every year, so I'm doing fine.
It's been doubled every year since. You know, you've worked with not just Bill Peterson, but 4 coaches in Larry Jones and Darrell Muja. You've seen the winless season at Florida State. You've seen the undefeated season at Florida State. You know, when you think back to when you first started with Bill Peterson and you look at what surrounds you right now, what goes through your mind?
You just can't believe the change that has happened here in that 30 or 40 years. But Coach Bill Peterson, I'm going to give him full credit. He brought big-time football to Florida State University. He had Bobby Bowden on his staff. He had Bill Parcells. He had Joe Gibbs. He had Dan Henning, 3 of the NFL coaches. Great staff, and it started from there, and here we are.
Well, congratulations again on your honor. And Paul, I should point out the reason he's out of uniform today, the class of '67 is actually visiting in town this weekend, and they've been up in the president's box. So rest well deserved. I think this guy's missed, what, 6 games in 43 years?
That's correct.
Yeah, so we'll let him miss a 7th today to see some of the former Florida State players. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
All right, Paul.
Goes without saying, a wonderful human being, Major Billy Smith. And as Bobby Bowden said, they asked Bobby Bowden in Steve Ellis's book, Pure Gold, the people in this world that he admired most, and the 3 that he had, he said his father was 1. Am I right?
Correct.
Bowden we're talking about here.
Billy Graham.
The Reverend Billy Graham was 2, and the 3rd?
Billy Smith.
Billy Smith.
And 2 things. Number 1, if you hadn't gotten Ellis's book, you need to get that, Pure Gold. And number 2, when they say Southern Gentleman, Billy Smith's picture is right beside that definition.
Wonderful compliment. 4th down, trying to hold on to the football. Armstrong pitches. Quentin Smith has the first down. I believe that's the first down of the second half for the Rice Owls in those silver helmets. By the way, when Coach Pete went to Rice in '71, he put them in the silver helmets. They've been wearing traditionally blue. He dressed them up like the Dallas Cowboys. You can see the similarity in the color scheme. And that lasted about...
till 89.
Yeah, till 89, and they went back to blue for a while. In fact, had a Philadelphia Eagles look coming out of blue with silver wings until this year. And Coach Graham raised the $6 million. And I guess if you raise $6 million, you can suggest how the helmet should look, which he did. I wish Todd Graham well in this endeavor. He has a huge turnaround on his hands. I mean, Keith, a program that has but what, 1 winning season in the last 30 years.
He's got several things working against him, not the least of which is Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, UTEP, etc. And number 2, the very rigorous academic standards that you have to meet just to get into and stay eligible at Rice.
Armstrong with a lot of heart pitches to Smith, drugged down at the 20-yard line. If you take a look at the road ahead for Rice, and again, they're back to like Coach Bowden here, just beat anybody. Only 1 home game, Keith, before Thanksgiving. Only 1.
Check that out. My lines are not as sharp as they usually are.
They will play in the Superdome in 2 weeks. Very emotional occasion. In fact, last year their one and only win came against the Tulane Green Wave, when Tulane was forced to play due to Hurricane Katrina every single game on the road. And movement on the right side. The tackle rocked. That'll cost him 5.
Such is the life of offensive lineman. That's big Luke Barber.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 68. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
You never get mentioned until you mess up.
Just his 3rd start for the 6'7", 300-pound junior. One of the better players for Rice up front. But in terms of a turnaround, put this into some perspective. The best I've seen as of late. An impossible situation lifted back into competitive play. Doug Graber, when he was the head coach at Rutgers, did a great job. Now Greg Schiano has gone up to Rutgers and taken it from the depths of winless seasons of 1-10. That might be the best turnaround job currently going.
Not impossible, but very, very difficult.
And that's the high mountain these guys have to climb. That was gunned to the 7-yard line if the ball is caught in the sunshine by Jared Dillard. He would look very good, Keith, from this perspective in a Seminole jersey.
He would fit in nicely.
That's a gain of 19, isn't he? Just his high school. And he was honored as the valedictorian there. Academic excellence in San Antonio, Texas.
Senior class president, I believe.
An all-around outstanding young student athlete.
Their first charge timeout.
And today has really been a major part of the offense. 7 catches, 113 yards for him. The 8th time in his career that he's had a 100-yard receiving day, and it comes at the expense of Florida State's fine defense.
And 6th consecutive game in which he's called a touchdown pass. It was a Conference USA all-freshman member last year.
I'm still scratching my head at the outset of the game today. He's running free, and Florida State's trying to adjust. Roger Williams trying to run him down. He went into the end zone, a perfect touchdown strike, 32 yards out from Armstrong, and this game was tied late in the first quarter, 7-7. In fact, that was their initial possession. They went flying right down the field and stung FSU for a score. They did that against Florida State's #1 defense, which has lost the services of their fine corner, Tony Carter. Tommy, what's the latest with Tony?
Well, Paul, I don't think it's anything to get too concerned about. He's been in street clothes the whole second half. It happened on his punt return earlier. Somebody banged into his knee. I asked Tony how he's doing. He said it's a bruised knee. You can see he's got the left leg immobilized. But I think it's really just precautionary more than anything, because Tony's been walking around fine. He's been smiling the second half. So I think he's resting, and I think he'll be fine by the next time out.
The ACC Special Teams Player of the Week against Clemson last week, even though the Noles fell, of course, off the 2 block kicks, scored twice. Pitch to the near side. What a hit. A blow-up hit delivered by Lawrence Timmons. That is his 3rd raucous shot pass today. Boy, can he
I'm adjusting my chin strap up here.
Here's 227 pounds.
Well, listen.
All over Quentin Smith, who goes 215 himself.
Well, welcome to Florida.
3 tackles and a sack today for a defense that registered 4, exceeded their total for the first 3 weeks. Can Rice, and an important possession to the Owls, finish it off? Punch this in. Armstrong for the back of the end zone. Dillard had a step in the back, and it was thrown much too high for him.
Well, Dillard had a step, but Armstrong didn't think he had enough steps, because number 7, Juan Buster Davis, had zeroed in on him. And right now, Florida State defensively, Paul, this is about pride. This is about not letting them in the end zone. This is about keeping it at just 7 points.
Well, you see, we have seen a number of the 2s and 3s defensively for Florida State.
Not now.
No. With the exception of Carter, who's out, you're looking at Florida State's starting defense. On 3rd and goal, high snap, bobbled around. The Noles pick up the football and own it. And it's Nefi Moffitt. A wonderful afternoon for Nefi today. And the fumble recovery. And Odell Hagens, the All-American in his playing days, the defensive tackle coach. A big pat on that gold headgear for Nefi. The 3rd turnover by Rice.
This ball is catchable but high. Armstrong mishandles it there, and Nefi gets those big bits on it. He was hoping he could keep his balance. I'm not sure he can actually run full speed as far as he would have to go. Nefi, don't you hit me next time you see me.
Interesting you say running full speed, because unfortunately, suffering from asthma, it's been difficult for him to run full speed. They've really worked on his conditioning and thus his ability to endure in Nefi Moffitt. This is Marcus Sims, who is checked in at running back for Florida State. His first career carry, the freshman from right here in Tallahassee.
Was told when he was recruited by Florida State that he would primarily be a linebacker to start, but he would be given an opportunity to run the ball. He's not a fullback. He's running out of the tailback position.
Normally, this would be Jamal Edwards in this situation as he takes 2nd carry. out close to the 40, working his way off the left side. But Jamal Edwards in practice on Wednesday took a shot off his knee. The knee swelled. The coaches said, well, let's just err on the side of caution.
And we haven't seen Anthony Lewis on the defensive side because he was injured in practice in what may be a season-ending injury.
And thus, Myron Rule was the starting safety today.
Correct.
There. Marcus Sims, 211 pounds, following his brother Ernie. He's a linebacker. Met in the backfield, falling forward and back to the original line of scrimmage. Chad Price, bandit linebacker, strong safety on this stop. He had a concussion, did Marcus Sims, suffered in the opener in the Orange Bowl in Miami. Special teams coverage, covering a kickoff. That put him on the shelf for a couple of weeks.
He's got one of those special helmets that have the part of the helmet that comes down around your chin a little bit more. It's your jawline that is designed to potentially help protect against concussions.
Florida State shifts everybody over to the near right side. Run the toss sweep. Marcus getting a lot of work here in the fourth quarter to the 40, stepping his way up to the 43. And on second down, that'll still leave him about 5-6 yards shy of the first down. So he becomes, in effect here, your fourth tailback, and as a freshman, a special teams headhunter for the most part.
Very highly touted coming out of high school for his play on both sides of the ball. Right here in Tallahassee, North Florida Christian, which, by the way, is now coached by Casey Weldon. He had a big victory Friday night after an off week at NFC.
I noticed Major Smith, the Hall of Famer, had a picture with Casey Weldon there. Tom's visit, Mr. Smith. Casey, of course, in the Hall of Fame. And just flinging it with that wonderful arm strength. And that is grabbed by Carr. Look at him go. He gets a block at the 10-yard line. And this is a touchdown. What a block from Parker. Nicholas Parker, 57 yards, had a touchdown for FSU. And the first for Lee this season. And that pretty much underscores today's game.
Isn't it supposed to be IED'd and not NY?
Greg Carr, 2 touchdowns today. One from Weatherford. This one, 57 yards with some fancy running. And on for his 6th PAT. Well, this is Chase Goggins. Rather than Gary Sismacia, Florida State may score twice here. They do, the 2-point conversion. They get the deuce.
When things are going right, they go right.
This has been a peculiar year for the kicking game, isn't it? What haven't we seen? Watch Carr run. From Lee, a bright smile on his face. To the tallest Seminole. Will take it the distance. 55-7. Oh, Parker's block.
After the hits, after the scores, after the games, beyond the highlights, it's Tailgate Overtime, presented by Bell South, only on Sun Sports.
It's back. The Chevy Model Year End event. We're moving out the last of the 06 Chevy models. So make your move. They're going fast. More Americans choose Chevy. Claim yours before they're gone.
See your Southern Chevy dealers.
At Checkers Right Side Drive-Thru, we would like to congratulate our Employee of the Month, Devin Longman. Hooray for Devin! Hooray! And hooray for our massive Big Buford. Double burger, double cheese, all the fixings, 2 for $3.
The Left Side Drive-Thru would like to congratulate our Employee of the Month, Devin Longman. What's that? Take it off. How about the Left Side's world-famous Big Buford? Made to order, now just 2 for $3.
Pass me the tape. I just can't wait to see what we can make. Give me mom's keys and the kitty.
Some things don't make sense together. Embark combines things that do. Save money when you combine Embark Home Phone, our most popular calling features, and high-speed internet for $55 a month. Add Embark Wireless or satellite TV for $30 each per month. Embark, this way to common sense.
So, tell me in your own words a little bit about Geico.
Well, it's one-stop shopping, really, Geico.com. You can get a free rate quote, you could compare coverage options, you could file a claim, pay your bill online, even, have a little chat with an associate if you need help.
What about you? Can they chat with you?
I'm here for Geico, love. Let's not delve into my personal life, eh?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
It is absolutely possible to find a woman who is a sports fan on eHarmony.
I'm in my Browns and he's in his Steelers, two biggest rivals in the NFL. Well, as far as I'm concerned. My dad said, "You're gonna marry a Steelers fan?"
Oh, she was stirring up big time when the Browns looked like they had some life.
Looked like they were gonna really give them a run for their money.
Or at least score a point or something. It's fun to have a little banter back and forth.
Find everything you're looking for on eHarmony.com. Log on today.
College football on Sun Sports has been brought to you by your Southern Chevy dealers. Visit us today to find out why Chevy is America's #1 brand, #1 value. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. Lovely Westcott Hall and the fountain there, the president's office.
Tom Block's office.
And just to the right there that you saw, he gets to go through that gate. Every day, a car was out the gate. 57 yards, the second touchdown reception of the day.
Nothing fancy about the route, but again, he uses that big size to shield just a little. Watch him throttle down right there, which gives him just enough space for that ball to come in. And then watch the block. Right there. Can't see it, but you might have heard it.
Jeff Bowden had worked with his wide receivers on downfield blocking. Practice makes perfect.
Hello.
But that blocking drill on Tuesday, will there be more of that, you would think? Carr's in. He's come out of his slump, and so too have the Noles, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Nearing 500 yards of total offense for FSU.
Well, Preston Parker had the block in the Orange Bowl against Miami that sprung Booker. Remember the swing pass? He went for 34 yards, and that set up the winning score for FSU. Here is huge blow-em-up block that sends Carr into the end zone. He's got a little toughness to him, doesn't he, Preston Parker?
And the last guy to wear 13 and play wide receiver?
Is that Snoop?
Snoop.
Well, we saw him in Miami.
Yes, we did.
Down there, King Hotel. You may have mentioned this last week, looking to latch on with an NFL club. Chris Douglas, a 5, and encountered up at the 25-yard line by the Seminoles. Volleyball in the air, and the Florida State volleyball team facing Boston College tomorrow, 1 o'clock in Tully Gym, admission free. A post-game youth clinic for the first 100 young people, 14 and under, to register. Log on to Seminoles.com and join them in Tully. The pride of Garnet and Gold football. Greg Carr. I'm talking to a former outstanding wide receiver in his playing days here, Ron Dugans, now a graduate assistant, offensive staff, and working with the wideouts. Quentin Smith has had a nice day. Although they got away from him in the second quarter, and he's come back a little more effective here in the second half. 64 yards on the ground for the all-conference rushing. And up over 1,600 yards himself. Here's Michael Cornegay, special teams captain. And working at Rover today, Mickey Andrews moving some players around. Here's the option. Kept by the quarterback. And Armstrong. Tackle made by Eli Charles, another new face, the freshman from Green Cove Springs, Florida.
Well, here's where we put our spotting charts away and grab our flip card that has the numbers and names.
Well, Charles is out there, as is 72. Bud Thacker lining up in there. Promising young talents. Getting an opportunity to work for most of the fourth quarter that has but 3:14 remaining. And at the gun, Florida State can turn its attention to NC State. Here's the pitch to Smith. To midfield, into Seminole territory, and a first down. I mentioned NC State for, let's remind everyone, Keith, that Chuck Amata and the Wolfpack won last year here.
Took Florida State to a triple overtime game or double overtime
Official
game
timeout.
3 years ago.
Seminole shaking at the 40-yard line across the field. The Noles have already lost 2 today. Marcus Ball, Tony Carter the corner. This is Darius McClure. But for Chuck Amata and the struggles that he has had, and anyone that follows Florida State football knows all you have to do is log onto the web and read what's coming out of Raleigh. So what this would mean to him to take on Bobby Bowden and win again. When the weekend began, already 2 losses, and for the ACC, it's been particularly difficult outside the league.
The conference is down, and there's no question about that. They've enjoyed some great success, particularly with the addition of Virginia Tech and Miami and Boston College. But certainly, even though I love the ACC, I love the opportunity that has been created for Florida State since they joined. But certainly the ACC not at the same level this year as they were this time last year.
Akron got him out of the MAC. Chuck, of course, made the comments against Akron, their admission standards, that infuriated that university. And then Southern Miss, Jeff Bauer picked him off in Hattiesburg. And Jeff Bauer playing Tuesday night back in the Sunshine State against UCF. Southern Miss and the Knights under George O'Leary, both members of this same league in Conference USA. This league, by the way, KJ, has affiliation with no fewer than 7 bowl games. 7. The champion going to the Liberty. So as Rice, if it can win and win 6-7 games, guaranteed of going to postseason play in years to come. Armstrong having to chuck it away. If he was outside the tackle box, that's not intentional grounding.
Same play that they scored on in the first quarter, but this time a great job by Patrick Robinson, the corner on that side, to not let the receiver spring free as Dillard had done in the first quarter.
Defensive coordinator Mickey Andrews, there Kevin Steele stepping in. Mickey Andrews stood up in front of the quarterback club this week and apologized for the loss to Clemson, saying it was no one's fault other than his own. Why did he do that?
Well, it was related to that one play where Clemson went with a no-huddle quick count. Flag down here. There'll be pass interference on Florida State. There's also a Rice Owl down.
That's Armstrong.
Is that Armstrong back around the 46, 47-yard line?
There's Mickey. And I've admired the way that Joel Armstrong, again a wide receiver when the season began, has taken upon himself.
Defense number 22. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Taking it upon himself, as Corey Magnum is flagged here, taking upon himself to quarterback this team against one of the best defenses in America. Last week it was Texas, and the week before that UCLA. Much to admire.
An official's timeout for an injured player.
In that junior quarterback.
And the question then becomes, can they get their other quarterbacks? Chase Clement, who is listed as their #1 quarterback, has an injured thumb on his throwing hand. And we've got John Shepard, who's a redshirt freshman, only attempted 10 passes in this season. You know, who do you use? How do you put them in there? How do you make them work? Those will be the challenges ahead for Coach Graham. As you see, John Shepard's going to step in with Armstrong being shaken up.
Off goes Armstrong, and the hand that he will receive from a knowledgeable Seminole crowd. People here that know football. They can appreciate his courage, his heart, and the way that he played against FSU. Threw a touchdown pass today, early in the game. Hung in there against a ferocious no pass rush, the most effective of the year, that included 4 sacks. And threw for 128 yards. Off he goes. And John Shepard is on, a freshman from El Dorado, Arkansas. The second quarterback of the afternoon for Rice. One and only start for him this year came in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl against UCLA. The first 3 weeks of the season, Keith, Rice went through 3 quarterbacks due to injury.
Injuries will do that.
There's Torrin Dixon and John Shepard. 2:11 to go. We will hear from Bobby Bowden, who has to be much more pleased than a week ago against Clemson when he visits with Tom Block.
Rice, this game, Paul, their first trip to Florida in the regular season in 22 years. Last time they played here was down in Miami, a game that they lost. They're here today. They'll be back in Florida in 4 weeks, in a game at UCF in Orlando.
So you wait 22 years, and now Todd Graham is going to go from Tallahassee to the City Beautiful, play in the Citrus Bowl. Our Steak and Shake play of this game. On a sunny afternoon, we have many to choose from, the way that Florida State has popped 4 plays of more than 30 yards today. Came into the game having not made one. Here they go off and go off big, scoring a season-high 55 points, the most that Rice has allowed. Smith to the outside, knocked out of bounds. Let's take a look at this and see what our producer Gary Nicholas has selected. To Greg Carr. That was nice.
And that started the scoring barrage for Florida State, which is now amounted to what, 48 unanswered points?
Well, it was 7-7, so you're right. Once again, those math skills coming to the forefront. And that, you know, the highlight for me, and this will sound silly, one of the highlights was Gary Sismacia nailing that 53-yard field goal.
I would agree. And as is the life of a kicker, he comes back and misses the next point after.
Tell me how many times you hit a great tee shot and then chunked your approach.
I couldn't believe it. You've read my book.
Off my way.
Banging for bogeys. Well, how to sink those 45-footers to save 5.
The kicking, they're a fraternity, are they not? Moody and Goggins.
They have to be. Nobody else will hang out with them.
Can John Shepard punch this into the end zone? Smith, by the way, has rushed for 104 yards now. He's out of the game. C.J. Ogakwe is in. Contact as the ball arrived right in front of the official. Defending was Jamie Robinson to block it, bat it away. It's incomplete, intended for Torrin Dixon.
It appeared as if Dixon actually batted the ball
the other way
away so that Robinson could not intercept. You be the judge. Ball goes up. I guess Robinson did get there first.
2nd and goal.
And again, right now, defensively, Florida State wants to keep them out of the end zone to protect that just 7 points scored by Rice.
The starting unit is back on the field. The pass was caught for a moment, appeared to hit the turf. Is ruled a catch at the 2-yard line by Jared Dillard, who I put in the same class as Joel Armstrong as far as being competitive.
I think you challenge this. The assistant coaches want Coach Bowden to challenge this. You got to call a timeout first.
Timeout. Rice. That's their second charge. Timeout.
And Rice is called timeout, although Mickey Andrews, Kevin Steele, you may see just to the right of the screen there, Odell Higgins have all come on the field trying to get the attention of the officiating crew for FSU to challenge the call.
Remember, coaches can challenge once. They must have a timeout remaining.
And Todd Graham here calling the timeout, which will leave him one remaining.
Well, he called it because it's 3rd down. Let's take a look at it here with ourselves.
The head coach of Florida State has requested a video replay challenge of the previous play as to whether the pass was caught.
Catch and a drop in your estimation?
I think that's a drop.
You're saying it's incomplete?
Incomplete pass.
Ooh, he was turning and he looked to have possession of that, KJ, when Buster put his right hand in there.
It's very close, and certainly we remind our viewers that the It must be indisputable video evidence. So if it's not clear, you go with the call on the field, which was that it was a completed pass.
Atlantic Coast Conference crew and review staff in Doak for this game.
That's very close, but I go with incomplete. What's your vote?
Well, we're looking at it in slow motion. If you can see it at real speed, it would give you more of an effect of how long he held the ball. I mean, he couldn't have held that ball for a second.
I go incomplete pass.
You're saying incomplete pass. I sound a little bit dodgy here.
Well, we're used to that.
And a shake of the head. Todd Graham. Buster arrived rather quickly. The ball is spotted at the 2-yard line. We await the rulings. Bobby Bowden, Odell Higgins up top, look on. Todd Graham below. This game is 55-7. Only 37 seconds to go. Bobby wants to hold Rice to 7. Todd Graham wants to punch it in this game on a positive note for his young team. It's important to those men.
Following review by instant replay, the ruling on the field is overturned. It is an incomplete pass.
Now how does Coach?
From the 6-yard line.
Now how does Coach like the replay rule?
We'll have to ask him. He gives it the thumbs up and the okay sign.
He was down on it. You heard Dave Hart say he was somewhat down on it. Coach very public, saying that replay had not helped Florida State so far this year.
And of course, the biggest issue here is that while it wasn't a huge gain, it is 3 yards of position. And now 3rd and goal, 3rd and 5.5. Much different than 3rd and 2.
With the 1 still out there. Tommy Henderson, the sophomore wide receiver, heads to the far side with John Shepard, freshman quarterback, looking for the end zone and throwing, nearly intercepted by Lawrence Timmons, who has been a nightmare for Rice throughout the day.
Oh, and that's one that LT would absolutely love to have another chance at.
That could have been a 98-yard interception return. He's about as fast as anyone that Rice would have in uniform.
Well, just picture Derek Brooks running with a picked up fumble and an interception, and you got Lawrence Timmons.
We're down to cases now. Maybe the final snap of the day. And Rice's first ever visit to Doak Campbell Stadium. Shepard from the gun takes the snap. Rolls and looks. And out of time is jacked up at the 5-yard line, and that'll do it. Florida State's defense has held on 4th and goal.
And Florida State need not even take the field or take a snap.
As the clock will stop on the change of possession, Geno Hayes led the way for FSU.
Well, after 55.5 minutes, Florida State defensively knows they got to find 81. They got him double covered.
And there was Jamie Robinson defending on Dillard. A gang tackle. The quarterback in Shepard, and Florida State, KJ, will win for the 3rd time in 4 starts this year and get ready for NC State. New quarterback for the Seminoles. On is Tommy Keene. And the final play of the day, well, it's a running play. And the running play was one of the headline stories of the running game today for FSU.
Without question, Florida State very nearly 300 yards on the ground, right at 500 in total offense. And yes, it is Rice, and yes, Florida State was heavily favored, but the offense gets on track. The defense plays well. Bobby will be happy, I'm sure.
Todd Graham congratulating Bobby Bowden. Thanks for joining us. For Keith Jones, Tom Block, and our entire telecast team, Paul Kennedy. And join us Monday night at 7 for Tailgate Overtime, presented by Bell Stop. See you next week on Primetime Knowles.